A small Cambridge inn called the White Horse. The Reformation came.
Restless is raw, unscripted, reformed radio. Real David Platt review part 2. Here we are. Pastor Michael, are you ready to jump back into this documentary?
Let's do it, man. We were made for this sort of thing. I was just watching our video plays through at the beginning, our little intro video, and some of it's probably kind of outdated now because of where we're at. But I saw there's the rocket ship when we got to, I think that's when we just got to 1,000 downloads on the podcast, which we have surpassed so much. So it's funny to look back at this meme that we made for 1,000 downloads and how excited we were. But that was back when we were doing a lot of this. We were doing a lot of talking the YRR, and maybe not David Platt, but we were talking a lot of these guys. And so it's kind of fun to be back.
It is fun to be back. And,
as long as the CIA doesn't come after us, it's fun to be back.
We'd like to welcome all the federal assets from Mclean Bible Church to this video, and we want to be your friends. I mean, Pastor Michael basically defended your actions for an hour in our first part of this, and so he's likely to do so again. But Pastor Michael, I want to say, as we continue to do this thing, coming back to talking about the postmortem of the YRR, which everything comes back to, in one of our next Patreon episodes, I want to talk about why that is still happening, and not just to us, but I regularly see new videos talking about why the YRR worked and why it died. And I want to prescribe to you in that Patreon episode, dead evangelicalism theory, and so we're gonna discuss that in an upcoming Patreon episode, and I think everyone else will enjoy it. And that is not going to be the most wild topic we discuss in one of these episodes. But last time, as we were doing this review, we discussed if in that very unique time period of like 2019 to 2022, when CRT, when social justice, when what everyone started calling as wokeness became a dominant theme in so many evangelical churches, if how that was done at Mclean Bible Church, if that counted as spiritual abuse, because that's the evidence for spiritual abuse that was placed there. This time we are discussing the other major focus of part 1 of this documentary, which is, was the church hijacked? Did David Platt perform an Ocean's 11 style heist of one of the largest churches in the country?
Give us that movie. Give us that movie. It, like, in the style of, oh man, what's that movie about the 2008 financial crisis?
Yeah,
almost all in the boardroom, dark boardroom.
The Big Short.
Jeremy Irons comes in, and this one's not The Big Short. There's another one that I can't think of, but it's almost all in this like dark boardroom, and they're all talking about what's about to happen, and it's this big company. I want that, but the takeover of Mclean Bible Church.
There no doubt could be some great movies made. But Pastor Michael, as we pick up from where we left off, have you had any any further thoughts on just kind of where we came to at the end of part 1?
No, honestly, it's such a weird thing to watch from the outside and from a particular viewpoint, if that makes sense. to try to understand what's going on. And I think I mentioned this last time. We're not going to know what happened by the end of this because we have a particular view of what happened being given us in a very, in a entertaining way. I don't mean that, and that it's like glib or something like that, but like it's meant to be more over the top, maybe. It's, some of the
this was
things that are
meant to go
done and said.
viral on social media, right? This was
exactly. It's made for, online viewers. So it's just weird. I don't even remember if we could come to a final view on that issue of spiritual abuse. Because first you have to define, well, what exactly is it? Where does it qualify? And we did a lot of statements of if this is what really happened, then, of course, this is what we would define it as. But it's just an interesting and fun thing to do.
right. Because again, what's interesting about the whole issue with it in defining it is that what we're really describing is that, like, basically they went along with the new popular thing, the liberal social order that reigned in that time period. And so it's not easy. So, but this time we're going to focus on what it looked like from this documentary's perspective of what a hijacking of a mega church looked like. And so I want to start with a clip just about the mega church. And again, what we're not going to play, which as it's relevant, I'll let you bring up, Pastor Michael, are the dozens of stories of all the ministries that were at one point running from this church, and the ministry of the senior pastor there, and the health of this church through and through until the arrival of David Platt and others. So let's start with a clip about the church, and then we'll carry on.
In the North Pole.
Some people are skeptical about mega churches, but I just never felt that way at our church. It was so easy to get plugged into people, and the people were just so warm and welcoming, and it wasn't fake.
As far as the Bible is concerned, we only taught the
Pastor Michael, I'm going to stop it there. We'll keep going in the clip, but what I would like to say is I don't understand how, if you watch this documentary or really almost any experience like this, how a person should conclude you shouldn't be skeptical of mega churches. Isn't that one of the most obvious lessons of this? And again, this is not even me saying like every single mega church is a problem. But my point would, at least, here's my we are the moderates. We are always the moderates. We are who people need on this. It should be incredibly rare. There was one Charles Spurgeon in that time period. And I don't know if there's one alive today, right? It should be incredibly rare. We should be incredibly skeptical of these machine-like big boxes.
Yeah, and I think that's actually the key point, is that it's not saying, hey, you couldn't have a good experience or hear the Bible taught or have good relationships in this place. But the issues that you're about to talk about that happened when one new pastor came in cannot just be an issue with that person. Right. No, you have an entire system, an ecclesiology that was at very least, was opened up to this sort of thing. Maybe you could say there was no abuse of it. There was no, in any way before this, was there ever somebody that was taking advantage of those things like what happened now? That doesn't seem likely, but it's possible that that's the case. But when you're talking about a system that can even allow for somebody to come in and potentially hire or fire people without others knowing, can give money without other people knowing, Like it's hard for you to get minutes. It's hard for you to get information about what's going on. Well, that's a systematic issue. It's not just a guy.
Right. Because we can acknowledge, right, at least what you should acknowledge is, wow, this system is ripe for it to go wrong in this exact way.
Yep. Like it's set up for failure in this way.
Yes. And again, because, for example, when you think about Presbyterianism, you need to say, like, Presbyterian gets horrible when it becomes full bureaucracy or the wrong people get control of it. Or we start saying we can't enforce the rules because of the minutia of how things are written. But that is a subject for another time, which we might come back to. But let's watch. I have lots of clips pulled on this, but let's watch some clips about what it meant and what it started to feel like that the church was being hijacked.
And there was so much joy before.
But then something happened that changed all of this.
Just imagine leading churches to multiply churches. All right, we're going to make disciples. We're going to multiply churches. So don't we want to be a part of that here?
Is it? Come on, it's just a little bit much, everybody. That's my only point. I'm not a hater. It's just a little bit much.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal.
When David came on board, it didn't take long for people to realize, wait a minute, we're not getting the same teaching as we did with Lon.
And the first sets of sermons did have some decent theological meat in them. But now, I've watched his sermons. He wouldn't get past a hermeneutics 101 class. They're horrible.
You know, those just listening, by the way.
Pictures.
There is somebody on stage. There are multiple people on stage with David Platt in a clip as somebody shoots a slingshot, and then David Platt grabs the stone while he's talking and is bringing it over to somebody who I assume is Goliath, standing up on a ladder with a big foam sword. So, in other words, by the way, like every big Eva church you can think of, right? Like all of the like prop stuff. I didn't realize until these videos that David Platt was a prop guy. I assumed, given his connection with T4G and all the other things I watched him at, he's just a Bible guy, right?
Yeah, you assumed it was
maybe
John
it's a little
Piper.
weaker. Yeah, exactly. But no, apparently he's a prop guy.
Right. Here's some advice to everyone. If you can't preach, get props. Currently, what we paused on is a picture of him building a Lego set in the pulpit. I am very...
All of a sudden, my boys believe they're called to ministry.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, sign me up, Dad. How do I do this?
Dad, why have we been wasting all of this time at church, not literally just building Legos?
Dad, can
so
I
Pastor
make
Michael,
an obscene amount of money by building Legos on stage?
So Pastor Michael, one of the big themes in this, which I think is fascinating, is there became this big concern in their church with a discussion of missional church planting. This was one of the areas of like concern and actually incredible amounts of disunity. Yeah. And that I just found that an interesting thing that became such a divisive point in the church.
Yeah. But that's not, if we think about it, it's really not uncommon.
Sure.
Right. That's not uncommon because the nature of how one goes about church planting, what they mean by that, who they bring on to do it, what they think you need to do in order to church plant. A lot of times that's where you're going to see some of the other issues that come up in this video, right? Some of the other like doctrinal things, the issues of, hey, if white people are inherently racist, well, then how we church plant and where we church plant and what that looks like and who we hire is going to be deeply affected by that. And our messaging in why we're hiring certain people is going to be deeply affected by that. And so, of course, it's going to, in other words, it makes plain some of the the underlying presuppositions that were already at odds with others in the church.
Yeah, isn't it like isn't it at some point maybe it's in part 2 where they claim to we planted 50 churches in Washington, D.C. in the last 2 years. And
I
so
don't know.
just like the SBC, we begin to wonder, what is a church plant? Could you be at a church plant could you be at a Mclean Bible church plant without even knowing it? But I do think that there can be a problem with this where, again, it sounded like this church at one point did literally have a ministry for every possible subgroup on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Which isn't my jam, by the way. I'm not interested in that model of ministry. But I think when you come into a place, there is a huge temptation for new leadership, even if you have this kind of vision casting model, especially to not be super considerate of, you are there to feed the sheep. You are there at this church for these people. And now again, right, this is why there is such a danger in church plants, is we need the next really big name with huge ideas. This is what that type of person does. They make huge changes. They have an agenda, and you want that. And so you have to at least, again, you have to at least know this going into a mega church setting.
Yeah.
So, Pastor Michael, the first question they raise as to if the church was hijacked was, how was the previous nearly perfect pastor, by the way? There was that book, The Imperfect Pastor, that was passed around church plant, Reformed circles. This guy, it sounds like, based on this documentary, could write a book called The Perfect Pastor. Apparently there's a lot of questions about how he was replaced. So let's watch a clip that kind of talks about them replacing him.
We thought that was good enough.
There was stuff going on behind the scenes what the elders didn't know about.
Lon Solomon stated in late 2016 that he had no intentions of ever leaving Mclean Bible Church. David Platt was inserted in September of 2017, and by 2018, Lon Solomon, a Jewish follower of Christ, was gone from MBC.
By the way, there you go. Just so you know.
Okay. Hey, let's just talk about propaganda for a second. Listen,
let's talk about it.
We are very willing to say David Platt is not above board. There's a lot of funny business. There's tons of bad things done. There's clear evidence of people being misled, right? So we're not defending them.
If literally seniorial pastoral changes were made and the elders are like, hey, what's happening? Of course, something bad happened.
Something's bad, right?
Yeah.
But just, you need to learn how to just listen to things and hear what's going on.
Yeah. Okay,
so here you have somebody who says, okay, hey, he said that he had no intention of ever leaving. Number one, first assertion, therefore, there's an implicit therefore, he was never planning to leave at all.
Right.
And there was no reason that he would have to leave. There's a lot of pastors, by the way, who say, I'm never leaving this place.
Absolutely.
And they're gone within a year.
So much.
It happens a lot, okay? A lot of pastors think, I'm going to be here forever. Sometimes they say that, and they don't really think it, which isn't good. That's a
great lesson. Young pastor, please don't overpromise to anyone. Please, I've done it, but please just stop. It is hurtful. It causes confusion.
No, so I tell people at my church, I plan to be here my whole life, in part because where I live, I don't ever plan to move from. It's family land that's been in my family forever that I feel an obligation to stay at, right? But every time I say that, I'm like, but God gets to do what he wants, right? I don't, unless he can do something else, right? He can choose to do something else. But all that is to say, number one, implicit assertion at the beginning. Obviously, he was never going to leave unless he was forced out. Right. And that's the only reason. Maybe it's true, but that's an assertion. There's nothing that necessarily backs it up in what was said. Number two, David Platt was inserted.
Inserted, baby.
What does that even mean? Who inserted him? Who has the power in this church? What is this?
Fed.
Right. Right. That's, I mean, like, what does that even mean? And then, you know, ultimately too, then, you know, what did he say? What does he say at the end there?
He replaced it.
Oh,
Lon Solomon.
He makes this big. He replaced a Jewish believer. What? Why are we saying that? Why does that matter in this context?
Fed.
This anti-Semite David Platt was inserted by the enemies of Israel.
Yeah.
That's what this sounds like.
It does. That's what it's meant to insinuate. This is how propaganda
also
works.
Nobody's gonna like our position on this documentary, Matt.
I know, but what everyone needs to learn is that I know probably when we did our Mark Driscoll one, we probably I was probably still more insecure about podcasting and needed to be taken seriously and would not have just broke out in random Fed chants. I'm not there anymore. This is a new era. And so, but again, this is how you learn to identify, like, and again, no offense, manipulative language.
And that doesn't mean this person is purposely trying to manipulate, right? Actually, if you think about it for a while, what you'll realize, and we've talked about this on the podcast a lot, evangelicalism teaches you inherently manipulative ways to work with people, to converse with people, ways of talking, where you're constantly trying to, manipulate what somebody thinks about you or about other things. And it's just the way that you talk, right? By the way, this is the always cry talking. It's inherently manipulative. It's not real. Okay, it doesn't mean you can't cry when you're preaching. Of course that happens. But it is inherently manipulative where you do that kind of staged thing that everybody can tell. This isn't real, especially because it happens every single time you talk. And so anyway, that's exactly right. You should be able to spot this kind of manipulative language right away and be able to see through it. And be able to make the judgment, hey, this person's not trying to be manipulative, but that is what they're doing, right? Whether they mean to be or not, it doesn't really matter. That is what they're doing.
Just think about how much of our language we've just sort of taught ourselves to use these words because of how they feel that have no inherent meaning. But they just are they're just these evocative, weak words we use. I want to get better at this. We just need to learn to just speak very clearly and directly, right? Think of all of these bad words like robust, flourishing, leaning in, all of these things that are just said. And I'm sure, someone could clip me saying a lot of these words, but they are they don't mean anything, and they're only meant to make you feel something. And so, all right, let's keep watching how, and again, how would this not be manipulative or propaganda? Is you then back up each statement with why. What does insertion mean, right? What does this pastor's ethnic background have to do with his replacement, right? You could make a case for all of those things if you want to. But we'll find out here.
Never to set foot in the church ever again. This wasn't an amicable separation by any stretch, and the whole takeover by the Southern Baptist Convention and David Platt.
There's just this guy smiling, just the most villainous smile watching this pastor say goodbye to his congregation.
Was full of lies and corruption.
Dale Sutherland worked behind the scenes, with the SBC leadership and the IMB to move, towards selecting David Platt as the new senior pastor at NBC. When Lon left very abruptly, Dale Sutherland took over, pushing
What?
I do not know.
Hold on, can you go back?
Yeah,
It's this video that almost has like the aesthetic of like a drug deal. It looks like there's alcohol on the table.
Yeah, we're going to.
What is going on in that clip?
Here we go. All right, watching it again.
And the whole takeover by the Southern Baptist Convention and David Platt was full of lies and corruption.
Dale Sutherland worked behind the scenes.
I love that face. He's just, this guy just at his deposition, again, this all ends up in court, everybody, is just jimming the camera. Just.
You know, with the SBC leadership.
Holding
So look at that picture they put up.
I know.
The guy's holding a gun. He like with a flag. He looks like some kind of communist. Is this nuts or what? What's going on? That's the other thing about this whole documentary is I feel like so far, and admittedly, I'm only in part 1. I don't have any answers.
Dude, if this documentary, it needs like, again, you can use the guy in front of a table of guns from quite obviously what 30 years earlier in his life.
He's like all pale. He's got like a black jacket and long hair. He's holding M16.
But you better tell me how he and his cartel and his militia threatened the life of this pastor in order to
it looks like a militia photo.
Yes.
What is going on?
Leadership and the IMB to move, you know, towards selecting David Platt as the new senior pastor.
Yeah, this little video.
It looks like a drug deal, right? It looks like there's vodka on the table. I don't know if that's what it is.
It does look that.
There's like alcohol.
It looks
there's
like a
tequila.
huge bottle of Grey Goose, and
there is this Grey Goose, some kind of tequila there.
Yes.
And somebody's counting money. What is going on? Who is this? What are they doing?
Also, Dale Sutherland, if this is actually you, how did you, and you are in the Southern Baptist Convention, how could you possibly have let this video be filmed of you in any setting for any reason?
Like, what's going it's just making me think all of a sudden there's this like secret drug dealing militia at the head of the SBC that's working with David Platt to take over this one particular church because of its size and influence. And if that's true, by the way, this could be like Martin Luther going to Rome and being like, wait a minute, like there's all these brothels, all the priests are evil, right? That could
Pastor
be the
Michael
SBC.
And I going, we do have to run and firebomb everything and not feel bad at all. Like, apparently. All right.
Oh,
NBC.
man.
When Lon left very abruptly, Dale Sutherland took over, pushing David Platt here big time. Well, I started in, you know, asking David some questions, and Larry and Dale said, Craig, you know, stop. That's not what we're here for. We're just here to have a nice conversation with David. And I thought, what? I want to know, David, where's your heart?
So here's where we're at, guys. The problem with this documentary, and I'm just going to say it, the problem is, I need you, even the Rise and Fall of Mars Hill did this better. I need you to tell me the exact process that was used for David Platt to become pastor of the church.
Yeah.
Because
based on what that guy just said, it sounds like the elders brought him in, talked to him, and chose him, and some of the elders didn't like how that was handled.
Yeah.
That's what I'm receiving, unless those guys aren't elders, right? Maybe they're like some executive weird CEO team.
Which they all have. Which these
they
churches all have.
And maybe the elders were like kept out. And, you know, also I want to know, how many elders are there? There's one guy who's an elder that talks in this video. Maybe there's a couple others. I don't remember if the others are called elders. So there's one guy. How many elders does a 13,000 person church have? And why aren't there others talking about how bad this was?
And obviously, I don't know about the SBC in general. Obviously, they don't like the SBC is apparent involvement, which I wouldn't either if it involves money exchanging hands, men with guns. To be fair, I wouldn't like that either.
Yeah. If an SBC guerrilla fighter group came in and took over my church, I would not be too happy about it.
So I can have sympathy if that's what occurred. But the truth is if the elders of this church were pursuing David Platt, who was with the INB, was an SBC pastor, isn't that going to involve the SBC? And this becomes the other incredibly difficult question this documentary has to face is, was this church forced into the SBC? Did they enter the SBC? And I'll just say, as we get ready for this clip, one of the problems is, are you in the SBC is not an easy question to actually answer. So let's start playing. Let's play where they talk. Let's play a few of the clips where they talk about the SBC. And we have so many clips we could play from this section. But let's start where they start talking about joining the SBC, and then we'll have to probably pick which clips we think are going to be the most relevant from there.
16. We never voted on it. If this would have ever came up, all of us elders, I think, would have questioned this. But see, we never knew about this. We never knew about this.
This is Discovery Document 2517. David Platt writes to Dale Sutherland, "We obviously need to sit down soon and come up with a comprehensive plan for this moving forward. In the meantime, I'd say to tell Brian that Mclean will, as he mentioned, send its contributions to SBC Ministries through SBCV."
Who are the Southern Baptist Conservatives of Virginia?
Sorry, I don't understand that. I'm not a lawyer.
And if it would be possible, it'd be great if we could send...
If I were to deposit, you shouldn't say extra things. If you are a representative of the Southern Baptist Convention and they ask you, who are the Southern Baptists in Virginia? It feels like the answer is a bit more obvious than, I don't know. I don't have a lot of Greek guys. Oh man. So...
send a check from Mclean to SBCV right now with no designation of how to use it, i.e. simply to the cooperative program.
What was the cooperative program?
I don't know.
Is there money anywhere in the budget that we could use to give a decent amount right now, i.e. before October 3rd? Maybe we even use some of the money that was designated for my honorariums. Let me know an amount that might be possible. Thanks, man, David. Why is he directing the flow of money before he's even voted in?
You can see that things were put in motion. The elders were not aware of any of this money that David was asking for.
Dale Sutherland is advising David Platt in an email titled "Dinner with Lon Advice." Sorry to bug you with another email. I was thinking about your dinner with Lon and thought I might prepare you a little. Lon will...
Dale Sutherland is the associate senior pastor, which I can only take, at Mclean Bible Church. So the militia guy, the guy that they're saying forced David Platt in, was the associate, whatever an associate senior pastor is.
So
that was
probably
his role.
Like once Lon is leaving, he's the guy.
Yes. Yep. So this would be one of the people in leadership of their church. Just so we all know that.
Lon will be very interested in all you have to say. Don't get drawn into making a choice for him right now. He will hope to get you to say that you're open to doing the job he is leaving. However, he will want you to do nothing else. My thought is to tell him just where you are. You are open to wherever the Lord leads. Remember, he doesn't understand the IMB or the SBC, so he doesn't know the impact of the decision.
The way I read that is Dale had to be careful how he needed to word that. Don't let Lon know what we're actually doing, right? I mean, that's clear and simple.
Later down.
So, Pastor Michael, is it clear and simple? And then I am going to attempt, as a Presbyterian, to do something far above my pay grade and explain why were they in the SBC is an actually highly difficult thing to answer after we play a clip about them being in the SBC or not.
Yeah, it's not clear from the outside, right? It's not clear to us from the outside what's going on.
Right.
I don't know how many conversations that had been had already, either in the church amongst the elders, with Lon and this other pastor, about the future place of this church with the SBC. I don't know, just from an email, and then some people saying, right, remember, this is a tiny, tiny percentage of people from this church. I'm not saying that that's not like, there's not a large portion that were unhappy, but there's like 10 people in this documentary from a 13,000 person church. There's one elder from a 13,000 person church. And we're supposed to take them and say, oh, yeah, obviously everything that happened was corrupt. It doesn't even seem like it's that, like, it doesn't seem above board, but it seems like what your system would allow for.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is why ecclesiology matters.
Ecclesiology matters a lot. All right. Yeah. Let me play a couple more clips, and then let me actually tell you, based on what I'm watching in this documentary, how I would interpret what happened, and give you my, by far, not expert, not qualified. I am definitely not qualified to give you an opinion on what is an SBC church. I, like Dale Sutherland, am not a lawyer. Though, unlike him, I have never ran an SBC militia force. So I don't know what to say about that either.
So the calls just stopped coming in.
David Platt did a good job of erasing any evidence that Lon was even a senior pastor for 37 years. Every sermon of him was wiped off the website with no warning to us as the congregation.
This is not Lon Solomon's church anymore. This is David Platt's church.
Oh, sorry, this was not about this clip was not about the SBC. Let me pull up the next one. But what that clip obviously is about how hardcore of a transition, was desired at the church. Do you perceive that as a positive, negative, middle of the road kind of thing, Pastor Michael?
Again, it's one of those things that this could cut so many different ways. This could be this, this egomaniacal David Platt came in and the first day told everybody, I don't want any sign of this guy that everybody liked, because I want them to like me. I don't want any competition, right? It could also cut the other way, where it's not an uncommon practice, even if it doesn't seem the healthiest, it's not an uncommon practice to be like, hey, once we have a transition of some kind, we're not gonna make it look like, hey, this guy's the new pastor. We're just going to market it as, no, he's the pastor, right? And so that's why you would remove some of those things. Whether that's wise or not, I don't think that's uncommon. I think that happens at a lot of churches.
Yeah, because you need to at least do something to communicate that a transition is made. Obviously, like this kind of erasure is crazy. Also, again, I want Lon Solomon's church. This guy, right? Again, we're still in the person. I don't like the new personality in my personality-driven thing. So this next clip we are going to watch, I think, is directly about them being a non-denominational church. So the documentary explains, in case this clip starts later, that because when this church was founded, this was kind of the rise of liberalism in most of the mainstream denominations, from Baptist, Presbyterian, Lutheran, Methodist, all the ones that existed. This church put it in its constitution that it would not join a denomination, because that was the way it decided to try and protect itself from any of these influences. Now, Pastor Michael and I aren't going to recommend that as the course of action. But that is what is presented in the documentary. But let's watch this next clip as we go.
Giving and being more engaged with Southern Baptists. And so that's what led to this conversation.
Just simply even looking at the number of articles that were published through Christianity Today, the Baptist News, almost celebrating and the pride of having McLean Bible Church be a Southern Baptist church, we found a video on the SBCV website taking credit for the local outreach that McLean was doing. And this is what we as Southern Baptists are doing in Virginia, kind of thing.
Thousands of congregants, once the lifeblood of a thriving church, found themselves disheartened, displaced, and confused. The systematic demolishment of ministries and the introduction of false teaching have sown discord and disillusionment, and a loss of confidence in David Platt and his elder. All right, that's taken a long time. But so, Pastor Michael, as I find the next clip, let me give you my general theory here of what happened. So, as I jokingly asked people, like, what is a Southern Baptist church? How do I even know if I'm in one? So, obviously, the question became, this highly contested issue in this church. And so, of course, it becomes very important to define, right, what is an SBC church? And this is where the terms begin to get difficult, because the Southern Baptist Convention, even though it kind of picks which side it wants to be. Is it a denomination or isn't it a denomination? And some days it picks one and some days it picks the other. But in a very technical sense, because Baptist polity does not have any kind of that the authority of the church ends at the local church, there is no denomination. And so what the Southern Baptist Convention represents is a large amount of programs and mission money that is gathered by churches that want to participate, e.g. are in friendly cooperation, right? And they give to the cooperative program. And based on my understanding, if you have given to the cooperative program and agree to whatever their like incredibly basic statement of beliefs are, you are a Southern Baptist church. Like, and we had a patron tell us that their church, while they do not participate in really anything regarding the Southern Baptist Convention, they give a small gift to the the cooperative program each year, so that the young men in their church can receive the Southern Baptist Convention discount to Southern Seminary.
Hey, why not? Maybe I'll start doing that. I'm just
yeah. And so again, I'm not condemning that church in any way, but here's what my point that I'm making is what it sort of seems like occurred at this church was almost certainly this church at various points probably gave money to some missionary, to some mission, to some food drive, to something the Southern Baptists funded.
Yep.
Therefore, in a technical sense, this church is a Southern Baptist church. However, because it's non-denominational, because that was an essential ideal in its identity, right? And I'm sure this pastor, he probably, right? They said he doesn't understand the IMB. He doesn't understand the convention because no one does. I'm sure he's a very smart man.
By the way.
And so he would have never, ever presented or talked about them as a Southern Baptist church and probably not thought of himself that way.
Yep.
However, when David Platt came, it didn't require a reorganization of the church. They just decided we are now going to begin to present ourselves that way. This man has had a long group with the Southern Baptist Convention. And in order to make that a little more clear, instead of paying me an honorarium, just give it to the cooperative program. And now you are a Southern Baptist Convention
We
church.
gotcha.
And what
this
the Southern
does
Baptist
seem like a funny way that you could like trick a church into being one of your churches that you claim credit for.
Yeah.
Right? You just find this little way like, hey, just give a little bit of money to this. Now you're SBC.
Yeah.
We got you. It's like a trap.
Yeah. And so this is what I think happened. And what does the SBC get out of this? They get to write about all the things they're doing in your state.
Yep.
That you're doing. But again, here's the problem, SBC. This is the actual thing. Your polity shouldn't even allow for that.
Yeah.
You don't exist. It does. Is it in the room with me? This is what I mean when it's so complicated. And this is what I think happened. And so the bad news, ecclesiology matters. And when things are pure congregationalism, as it turns out, you kind of get to just do stuff. You kind of just get to do stuff. So, Pastor Michael, let's play a clip where people are at a meeting and they're unhappy to learn they're an SBC church.
Question, yes or no. Is Mclean Bible Church affiliated with the Southern Baptist Convention?
Mclean Bible Church cooperates with the North American Mission Board and Church Planning, International Mission Board, and sending missionaries. There are Mclean Bible Church staff, some of whom get education at Southern Baptist seminaries, and we have supported refugee work.
So based on what you just said, does this mean that
So let me give you the answer to that question. And I grant it's very weird how David Platt is answering it.
It's weird he won't say yes.
Giving things to these ministries. We've had people educated there. Giving to refugee ministries. The answer is, as much as you can be an SBC church, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Right.
It is weird that he doesn't want to say yes. That feels a little strange. Like, why wouldn't you just say, yep?
I mean, I don't know, Pastor Michael, maybe you're not familiar with this, but there's actually a pretty large phenomenon of megachurches that we in the biz call undercover Southern Baptist churches that like in no way will associate with the Southern Baptist.
Right.
But then you learn like they receive money to help pay interns and they exclusively send through the International Missions Board. And so I don't know why people do that, but it is a thing that goes on. But
that's true.
And that's pretty clearly what's happening here.
Mclean Bible Church is affiliated with the Southern Baptist Convention, yes or no?
I really don't want. I feel like I'm not sure exactly what you mean by affiliated, and here's what I mean by that, and why that's important. If I say
Laura asked David Platt specifically.
Sorry, by the way, friends, if you need to find out if your church is a Southern Baptist church, you have to say, is our church in friendly cooperation?
You didn't use the right words. You did. All of a sudden, they sound Presbyterian. You did.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you didn't use the magic words.
That's right. And so, this is where, like, while words and our technical church words matter, do not hold those over normal people in your church. Do not use the like, well, we didn't ordain them. Don't use
just say if affiliated, you mean what I just said, then yes.
Yes.
Just say that, right?
And but right, you can even, because if you're worried they think the Southern Baptist is now running this church through a guerrilla army, you can say, but this church is exclusively ran by this congregation. There is no authority above this, right? You can add that if you're worried that's the confusion that people are going to have. And if you don't add those descriptions, they might sue you in court and have very strange deposition photos and videos played in a documentary.
If the church was affiliated with the Southern Baptist Convention, and he never answered the question. That was an easy question.
Let me ask my question just one last time. Is Mclean Bible Church affiliated with the Southern Baptist Convention? Yes or no?
I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure how else to answer your question.
It's clear that I'm asking, is Mclean Bible Church affiliated with the Southern Baptist Convention, right?
That is clear, by the way, everyone. The question is clear.
Yes.
Okay. Yes or no?
I think
it is interesting.
So the way Southern Baptist Convention.
It is interesting the audience is, you hear them saying no, like they want a no.
Yeah.
So they want to know to this question, which, or at least a large group of these people want to know to the answer to this question, which is interesting.
Uses language. It's you work in friendly cooperation with. That's the exact language the Southern Baptist Convention uses. We work in friendly cooperation with other churches. Do we cooperate with other churches in those ways? Yes.
Okay.
We have since before I got here.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Sure thing.
I then got up and made a motion for David's removal per the Constitution.
Boom. So this, we'll keep playing the clip because, man, are things getting fun here? So David Platt did just tell you the answer to the question, by the way.
He said yes.
He said yes. He said yes. And
he says yes. And before I got here, that was true.
Yes.
Is that true? Or was that email that we saw where it was like, well, now we're going to do this just on the cusp of bringing you in, right? Because that was a little bit sly to be like, well, we did it before I was here. But if you were directing it by email how you could do it, it doesn't really feel like it was before you were there. But if you're talking about this church had given money beforehand at different times to these things, which seems likely, then sure, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a mess.
It's a huge mess. And here in congregationalism and evangelicalism, you can literally just do whatever you want, because we're about to listen to a guy make a motion to fire the pastor at some random church business meeting. And we're going to actually make this we're going to make a separate bonus episode where there's a few things in this that I actually just want to highlight as when we talk about, should you ever be worried about, like, should you be skeptical of a megachurch? I want to just play a couple of clips about that I think without a doubt demonstrates some of the very obvious and should be to anyone potential concerns in joining any megachurch, no matter how good a Jewish follower of Christ the church is led by, no matter how many years of blessing, no matter how good it is, you should be concerned and you should be watching out, because I think the desire for a celebrity pastor, a pastor you will likely never get to speak to in your life, the corporate streamlining of your church are all things that are completely on the table, and you need to be watching out for. And it doesn't mean every megachurch is bad, but it just means they come with this downsides. Small churches have another set of downsides. Presbyterian churches have a kind of downsides. But at a church where you can kind of just do anything in a members meeting. This is why when people ask about church planting, anyone who's listened for a long time knows I'm involved in church planting. I'm a church planting pastor. I actually have a really cool new made up title in that regard. But I would never tell someone to go to a church plant that was basically not Presbyterian. And I'm very sorry about that if there aren't at least local elders, because that means there are literally no rules.
Yeah.
There are people you are looking at that are like, yeah, we're writing the bylaws right now. We are making up the rules as we go. And at least at our church plant and other Reformed church plants like this, there is a governance structure already in place that the church just has to submit to.
Yep. There are leaders in place, right? You
There are
don't
leaders
start
in place.
on your own. It's just this guy doing things.
Yeah. There's accountability. Because just even think about it, like, you could literally show up to any church meeting and people could start motioning for things. Like, you could just think about how crazy that is.
It's just nuts.
And I know no one thinks that's going to happen. We are watching a church where that happened.
Yeah, it will.
It will. It's obviously going to, I mean, I'm sad. I don't want that to happen to anyone's church, but it will happen. It has happened. Pastor Michael and I grew up in churches and in environments where that happened. Yep. And so it is just ecclesiology matters so much.
Right.
And so, yeah, let's play the clip where so here's the actual Here is the text. I'm going to read it because I just find it amazing. Here is the process. A church of 13,000 people. This is what is said about how you remove the pastor. You have to make a motion, right? You have to make a motion to remove. I respectfully move for the elders to hold a vote to dismiss and remove David Platt from the office of lead pastor in the next 7 days, based on the grounds provided for in the church constitution that I will lay out, right? And to publicly report the results of those findings. And then, of course, they have
7 days.
Exactly. That, like, you have to give them your reasons and then ask them to do this in 7 days. Yeah. So, all right, let's play what happens when this motion is made.
For intentionally lying and deceiving the congregation for years.
And I would actually like to make a motion for David's dismissal and removal based on gross violations of Article 9 of the Constitution. I would like to present those to you and the congregation if we could.
Also, David Platt is the moderator.
Yep.
So this is being presented to David Platt.
for him to call a vote in a congregational meeting that almost certainly was not called about firing him. Was this called about them being in the SBC? My guess, no. Now that we know we might be in the SBC, I'd like to call for a new subject, firing you.
You just imagine, like, you could show up to a meeting about, like, how we're gonna, like, design certain, like, I've been in congregational meetings at churches where it's like we're deciding how much to spend on a remodel of certain things, which is, again, a horrible idea.
Of course,
right? Every member here, gets the right to say, what this should look like.
That's right.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But I've been at those kinds of meetings. Imagine you're in that kind of meeting and somebody stands up and they're like, can we just, like, moving on from the light fixtures, can I just add a new item? I would like to call for the removal of the pastor in the next 7 days.
And according to our bylaws, if I get a 2/3 majority here, that vote has to occur. Dang, I hope the people interested in the light fixtures like the pastor. Otherwise, you're going to be fired that night. But again, I understand.
I've seen this, though. I've seen this. I've heard, like, there are congregational churches I've heard where it's like, hey, things are going great. Church is growing. Everybody's happy with the pastor, and the elders call the pastor and they're like, we just decided we kind of want to move a different direction and you're fired.
Yeah.
And, like, no warning, no, like, 2 weeks ago, it was like, just starting today. I guess you're just fired now.
Yeah. Let me offer, like, I understand that there is a reading of Matthew 18 Baptist take that they understand that this congregational voting is what's required. I don't agree. But here's the thing, like, on a practical level, with the leadership Jesus has given the elders in his church, I want every single converted person, every baptized person to be a member of a church. That's what's supposed to be. And if that's the case, it means there are many people who should be a member of the church who are not qualified to vote in church discipline, who are not qualified to make major decisions. And it would be unloving, right? Someone comes to Christ, I go, let's get you baptized and have you become a member of the church. And then 2 weeks later, I say, you now need to vote on a discipline matter that could dissolve a person's marriage. And again, this is what that leads to.
Yep.
And I do not believe there is a strong enough case to say this is the Holy Spirit's designation for the church.
Yeah.
The people that Jesus exercises rule through the church are the successors to the apostles, the officers of the church, the elders, the deacons. This is it. Again, I understand you want to make an argument for Matthew 18. Just tell me why in 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy, or Titus, or all of these letters to churches about governing things, why they aren't told to do things this way.
Right.
Why church discipline isn't handled this way in any example we have in the New Testament, in the early church. My favorite thing of the book both of our churches use for church membership, where it's describing, you don't have to agree with all of our beliefs about church government or things, but we want you to know what we teach. And it says, here are the three models: Presbyterian, hierarchical, and then an independency and congregational. My favorite line of the book: modern independency was unknown throughout church history. It's just his one sentence, like, nah, we don't do that. It matters so much. There's this thing I say to people, like, when you're a young man and you join a Reformed church, you join because of Calvinism. When you're a middle-aged man and you join a Reformed church, it's because of church government.
Yeah.
It's because you were at one of these meetings, right? This is why. So, all right. Sorry for that rant, everyone, but we are going to keep
ecclesiology matters.
Ecclesiology just matters so much. And Jesus runs the church well. And so when we see churches not run well, we know our ecclesiology is bad. We are sinning in extravagant ways. And thank God that Jesus' church is not at threat, even though that happens, and even though we do that.
It's under the Constitution. It's Larry's decision to hold a special meeting for that reason. And I have evidence to support this.
This is not the forum.
Hear him out.
Let's hear him out.
Let him talk.
Yeah, let's hear this. Let's hear out the motion to fire you right now in a meeting.
Where else would you give us anybody an opportunity to speak? You've shut the church down for a year. Other churches are open. There's no other opportunity that you'll ever give anybody. And I have solid evidence.
I ended up reading my evidence I had collected.
I've studied the Constitution
By the way,
diligently,
it looks like
and
there's
David
nobody at this meeting.
Because again, it's during the COVID times. This is the moment where like the congregational meeting is like ripe to just go crazy. Because
it looks like there's like 15 people in the room talking about the direction of a 13,000 person church.
Yep. And 5 of them were fed. Like, yeah.
Who is it? Right? Who is it? Pick the Fed.
We might find out some. We might learn who some of them are in the second part of this.
In gross violation of the Constitution, Article 9. And I would like to present that to you for a special meeting for you and the elders to consider. And I would like to bring it to the attention of the congregation from Matthew 18.
For an issue like that, I would ask you to write it up.
I have it written right here.
And I'm going to give it to you. But I'm not going to do anything with it tonight.
You don't have to, but I would like to read the evidence from the congregation.
You can give me anything you want to give me.
I'm sorry?
I'll take a look at it.
Can we hear it?
Let's hear it. We'd like to hear it. Let's hear the motion.
Here, there's a submission violation that you will never consider.
Dude, what is...
Just hearing a bunch of ladies yell stuff out at a congregational meeting just gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit.
Because Pastor Michael's a Presbyterian, and it's like, this is what our whole system was built to avoid. A meeting where someone could just shout out, like, here's what I want. Like,
right. I mean, we have, here's the beauty. We have congregational meetings. We just had one a few weeks ago, and people can ask any question they want about the budget, about different reports that we give, both me as a pastor and the elders and the deacons, and we give reports to the congregation, and they can ask any question they want that's in keeping with, what we're talking about. And at any point, as a moderator, I can step in and say, that's actually not the subject of this meeting. And so if you'd like to talk about that another time, like there's a better place for that. Most of the time, because we're doing like a budget, for instance, almost everything that we do as a church is very open then for discussion because it's probably written into the budget in some way or some form. And so people can ask questions. They can say what they like or don't like about something if they really wanted to. That doesn't often happen, but it does, and it can happen. And then the deacons and the elders and me as a moderator, we can discuss it. But the only thing up for discussion is the information given for that meeting in these, with these certain reports and budget. And we have a particular rule in the PCA. You cannot then bring in any other business. No, only like whatever's on the agenda for that meeting, that's what you can discuss. You cannot go beyond that.
And But also, if there was a group of your members a relatively small group of your members who believed you were avoiding a subject, they could call a meeting on that subject. And it's with a relatively small group of them. They could call a congregational meeting and require the elders and you to address a different subject.
That's right. 100%. And if we deny that in some way, they can go to a presbytery and say, we requested this according to the BCO, and they denied it. They didn't do anything with it. They refused to receive that. And so we would like this done. And then the presbytery will investigate. They'll come and find out. And if that's the case, they may discipline us in some way. They may just say, you need to hold this meeting and do it this way. And we're going to have maybe members of presbytery present so that we can advocate for the congregation, because evidently there's some way that you're, holding things back. So in other words, there's everybody. It's not like all of the power is in the one guy who can raise his hand at the congregational meeting and whoever speaks the loudest.
Right.
It's everywhere, right? It's distributed across many different levels, across many different people.
Because what we are practically trying to work out is that Jesus Christ runs the church.
That's right.
It's not a democracy. It's not a corporation. There isn't a CEO. There isn't a board of directors. Jesus Christ, through his elders and deacons, runs the church. So we'll play this whatever they give us to this meeting to the bitter end, and then we'll get out of here.
You will throw this away. Obviously, that's going to be the case. I would like to read it to the congregation.
Yeah, read it. Let him read it. Let him
read it.
I don't. By the way, Nick, let me just make a prediction. I don't remember exactly how this video ends. I don't think he's going to read it. By the way, everybody.
At least not in the video.
This is in regards to Article. Let's see the Constitution.
All right, let's see if we can zoom in on this. It's saying the Southern Baptist Convention lists in its church directory Mclean Bible Church. And so this is some of his evidence of how they've
right here, Article 2, affiliation. Larry, you have stated it. You have studied it, and David has studied it. Yes, I have confirmation from the...
The truth is, Mclean Bible Church is not simply working with, but rather is affiliated. What a word!
I wonder if so. It must be that affiliation language must have been the language they talked about in their Constitution. They must be using that particular word because that's the word they use. It. Mclean Bible Church will not be affiliated with any other denomination,
and that's why they want to get him to say that word.
Yep.
And so because then,
and it's why he doesn't want to say that word.
Exactly. And so this would be a flagrant violation of the church constitution if they've done.
From the executive committee of the Southern Baptist Convention itself, the Mclean Bible Church is affiliated at all three levels, the national, state, and the local association. I also have confirmation from the state cooperative board that we are affiliated. Mclean Bible Church is affiliated. They have confirmed that you have signed the Baptist Faith and Message as a church, affirming the Baptist Faith and Message 2000. We also have 2018, 2019, and 2020. $375,000 that's gone through the cooperative program. If you look at the Dun & Bradstreet profile, Mclean Bible Church, the record shows Mclean Bible Church doing business as a Southern Baptist church. It also identifies Mclean Bible Church under its religious organization field as a Baptist church. The Southern Baptist Convention itself, like everybody knows, has Mclean Bible Church as a search. If you look for it, you'll find Mclean Bible. The 2017 annual report for the Southern Baptist Conservatives of Virginia on page 72 lists Mclean Bible Church on their church affiliation report. Christianity Today reported on September 14, 2017 by the famous executive director of Wheaton College and the Billy Graham Center and distinguished chair of church mission and evangelism at Wheaton College, Ed Stetzer, that Mclean Bible Church is new to the Southern Baptist Convention.
Ed Stetzer. Yeah, the worst clip that they've shown, one of the things said is new to the Southern Baptist Convention. That's the one where it's like whoever published that is actually one of the most obvious aggravations to this, right? This situation. But all right, let's see where he gets to.
And this is not exhaustive, but I don't want to take any else's time. And I have substantial evidence for all of this. I have the emails. I can read them right here if you would like. executive committee emailed the Southern Baptist Convention.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to ask you one more time. I want you to give me all that. Because I've heard you read it, and we let everyone hear it. That's fine. I want you to give me all that, and we'll take it under advisement. I obviously, even hearing what you're saying, don't agree with the premise.
And the Southern Baptist Convention itself, on all levels, affirms not only affiliation, but your semantics of cooperation, partnership. It all means the same thing. If you look at how you actually affiliate, it says you are on the affiliation report. And how do you partner? How do you affiliate? You fill out the same form and you contribute. There is no difference. For years, you guys have used these fuzzy words that mean nothing. You are affiliated with a denomination. That's a gross violation of the Constitution.
The motion was seconded. Then they cut my mic.
Give it to me so that I
turn on. Dude, there's a side shot of how few people are there. There's 20 people there. There's 20 people in this that you can see.
I mean, it's a big auditorium, so maybe behind there's more, but it's a very tiny percentage of the people in this church.
And so what you're telling me, Pastor Michael, is if you use a different word, but you function in the exact way your church constitution says you shouldn't, you would have a functional violation to government or perhaps officers in your church if you did so. Even if you used a different word, that might be troubling.
Dude, they're not magic words, everybody. It doesn't just become a thing when you use the right word. It can be a thing even if you use different words. And some things we all have to, apparently all of our denominations need to learn this.
SBC probably not a denomination. I don't know what it is. No one knows what it is. David Platt doesn't know what it is. The guy who's like, I heard everything you just said, that the SBC calls us an SBC church and all of these things. And I disagree with your presentation. He doesn't know what an SBC church is. And so, Pastor Michael, I think what we're seeing is this is why, right? This is where ecclesiology begins to matter, because their church constitution, we can't be affiliated. There's so little definition to that word that is in this specific case is so important.
Yeah.
Because the question that people need to be asked is like, well, here are the missionaries we support who went to wherever with IMB. Are you saying our church should not support them? Right? Those are the kinds of questions this actually takes to be answered.
Yeah.
Also, my motion was seconded, whatever. Well, you were going to have the elders vote on whatever the thing you wrote. So you were most certainly not going to come out like that was not going to, you were not going to accomplish what you wanted anyways.
Yep.
And so, yeah, ecclesiology.
So we still don't know. This documentary hasn't shown us. Does the congregation even get to vote on that kind of stuff? Is it only for the elders? Is it something that David Platt can decide for himself whether he's pastor or not? We don't know. We don't know at this point. And they made it even sound like David Platt had decided to become pastor earlier, before he was, and he was a part of this plot. We don't know how this works.
Right. And we almost can't know. I mean, unfortunately,
they probably don't know.
Right.
Right. Like they, meaning that the elders, David Platt, the church members, they probably don't know exactly how this all works because it probably doesn't all fit together well.
Right. It's clear some of them, probably because of issues related to CRT, do not want any connection to the Southern Baptist Convention. That actually, as far as I understand, becomes a practical budgetary issue where what you actually have to do is say our church cannot give to any Southern Baptist Convention, International Mission Board, whatever those ministries are, we can't give to any of those things then. That's what that actually requires. And yeah, obviously David Platt, and this is one of the most weirdly ran things. He won't answer questions. I don't blame everyone for being upset. We were watching two men at the front of this church engage in a leadership failure. Unfortunately, it's true. That's what we were watching. But I don't even know how to begin to like adjudicate what was done. Because even though this all went to depositions, and so they got even more of these emails about what cooperative program we're going to go to, how would you assess damages? Like, what would, all of these questions become so difficult? And so I think what we can say is, if church independency, if ecclesiology, if board of directors style churches is what you have, I mean, this was never the members of this church's church. This was a personality's church. And now there's a new personality in town.
Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity.
Ecclesiology matters.
It is like the
Pastor Michael, thank you.
On the head.
Everyone, we'd like to thank you. This was part 2. We are going to have a bonus episode come out about things from this that aren't directly related. Well, it's obviously from this, but it's about why you should always be concerned about any megachurch, because I think there's a few things that demonstrate it. Get ready for our official part 3 as we dive into the second half of this documentary. We will do it again with you. But as we come to the end of this year, please get ready to enjoy the 12 Days of Restless, which will be a good time. Please rate and review this show, share it with your friends, tell them, and we will catch you next time.